Hi, Phoenix Song here. So far I've only done videos on my hardware gear, but I wanted to show off some of the things I've been doing with the iPad because I feel this is also a good performance tool. You don't have to stick to just hardware or software. I think the right combination of both could be great. And there's a lot of ways to go outside of your iPad and talk to real hardware gear too. So this is a fun combination. So I wanted to do a big long video about all my iPad apps and how which ones I recommend, but I'm going to come back to that later and instead focus on Groovewriter, which is one of my favorite apps because of its emphasis on live performance and its ability to be used quickly, and it's got a good surface that is easy to work with in case you're playing live. Groovewriter's been compared to a Groovebox, like an elect tribe, but one of the things you get on the most modern elect tribes was either a sampler or a synth basis, and Groovewriter gives you both all in one package, which is super handy to have. So some of these are built-in samples, but others are samples that I've added from my private collection of samples, and then these some of those are default, but here's a little sine plus FM patch, and so let's jump into it. I'll show you a little song. This is Memory Tap, but in a different format from the one I released on SoundCloud recently. Even though they're not real knobs, you still have a pretty easy to use interface once you get used to it. The shift button acts as your fill button if you've programmed it up like that. It's really cool. So there's already been some great introductory tutorial videos on Groovewriter that some of my fellow YouTubers have done, and I really appreciate that. That's what inspired me to make this video in the first place. So I don't want to re-emphasize that. One thing I would like to talk about is, so I've already talked about, I've made some songs in here, versions of songs I already played just to fully test this out, or more than that, utilize it. One other thing that I think would be great if people that had this could contribute, and I'm going to do this, is sound sets. So you can build a whole set of 16 different rhythm and melodic devices in this setup, and there's a nice way to export that. And so I'm going to do that and put some of those online. This is one for a chill sound. Little pad, little fretless bass there. And here's this one doesn't have any particular focus, but it's just all sorts of different synthesizer tones. So let's go into the key. Some fun ones in there. So another one I did here that's right at the end. New FM chip. So it's not strictly FM or chip tones, but it's some good good fun here. Yes, it can do bells. Oh, the last one was. It was a nice discovery because there was not a lot of FM options, but I found this other way to make bell-like tones using synths from scratch here. And then here's an interesting one I did. This is all drums built from scratch using only oscillators and you know, the envelopes. So it's like you're building your own TR-808, but what if you got to make the choices on how each of those drum sounds were developed from? So you can do that in here. There could be a few more wave combos to make like kick drums a little easier to make, but aside from that you can make a load of real percussion and drum sounds from just the oscillators. It's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of these sets online free for sharing. You know, maybe we can get a little board going where we can share those. I'm happy to do that on JimAudio site if he's interested. And that would be a good way to, I think that's the first part of the workflow, is building a nice sound set for each of your songs, and then off of that you build the song, because if you have them all set up before you start trying to build the song, then you have more consistency throughout the song. You don't have these random sounds showing up. And so that's about it for now. Please leave comments if you have questions or things that you'd like me to go into. I'd be happy to do that for you and give you more details on that. Thanks. Next song, please subscribe. Thanks. Bye.